Can you imagine, right? How wound up these guys are to talk to you, how excited they are. This is what I do, and they are excited. And so it makes your closing that much easier. I don't really have to close because I've done all that groundwork. They know what they're getting. They know why they're there. They know that they're a fit for me. So a friend of mine asked me the other day, Jason, how do you use pain points? And I've covered this at length in blog posts and that. Not sure he's read them, but it kind of confused me, and I dug a little bit and I found out what he was asking was not exactly what I thought he was asking. The issue was he was asking this question, really. How do I use pain points in isolation? How do I use pain points in my marketing to screen potential, clients, right, prospects, without including any other factors? And my answer to that was, whoa, that sounds weird to me. So I thought it would be a good idea to take like a minute and cover the evolution of how prospecting and pre-qualifying has worked, okay? So originally, what people would do is qualify by industry. So people would deliberately pick an industry that they knew something about, like small engine repair, gardening, all the way up to maybe defense contracting, something like that, right? And they would have this expertise in this narrow band, and that is what they would use to pre-qualify prospects on. They would only talk to people in those specific niches or industries, right? And that was rudimentary prospecting and pre-qualifying. Now, the good thing about that is you will accidentally stumble onto some of the other stuff that you should be doing by picking an industry. For example, you'll be talking in industry terms, the technical terms, the jargon of what they use in that industry. And so that lets them know that you're in on it, that you're one of them. And that's important, that one of us feeling, okay, in marketing and pre-qualifying. So by choosing an industry to go into, that alone will actually take you pretty far. Now, what happened when we got into the next stage of pre-qualifying evolution is we started qualifying further by demographics, okay? And I think a lot of this came out of B2C, rather than industrial sales, now we're talking to a consumer, and we need to start segmenting our consumer markets, right, by demographic things. Where do they live, right? We all know the millionaires tend to live around other millionaires, right? There's rarely a millionaire living in a slum next to a bunch of broke people, right? So if we go where they are, that's part of the demographics, we're more likely to encounter the same type of people, right? Certain revenue levels, income levels, we know that, right? They maybe own a certain kind of vehicle or a series or brands, like they own the BMWs and the Mercedes and the Audis and all that, right? So that is an example of a demographic qualifier that we could use, okay? Now, what happened as the 80s came in and the 90s came in, and I really feel that this got its stride in the 90s, is the idea of psychographic. Okay, what's going on up here? Psychographic screening, pre-qualifying. And what that gets into are pain points. What is the problem that this guy is having that is keeping him up at night, right? So with psychographics, you're more concerned with what's going on in the mind of your prospect, and that really ties into pain points. What are they suffering from? What is the bad situation that they are in that you can help them get out of? And that's a great place to start, isn't it? Because when somebody is in a state of discomfort, they're more likely to move. Okay? So if we can make a little graph of pleasure versus pain and near or far future, near future pain is the thing, that's that quadrant, that people will move in the most, okay? So if you find somebody who has a problem and it's a near future pain problem, now we're in the psychographics, remember, like Godzilla's coming down the street and it's going to destroy the business, then they are more likely to take action. So what I do actually is combine all three of those layers. Why not, right? And that really gets you into a high level of pre-qualification. You're pre-qualifying by industry. So already you're using the jargon terms and you're comfortable and you are automatically enthusiastic if you do this right, because you've picked a niche you know something about and you're excited about, right? I'm going to go help people sell airplanes. Okay, cool. All right, I'm excited about that. It's easy for me. I don't have to fake it, right? Second, you're qualifying by demographics. Okay, let's say it's B2B, right? What kind of airplane manufacturer am I going after here as my target market, right? Am I going after the little guys who make single engine, single seater planes, small planes, you know, 4-seater planes? No, I want to go after Boeing, let's say, right? That's a demographic qualifier. You know, other qualifiers, how many branch offices do they have? What volume of sales do they do annually? How big is an average contract, right? Those are all demographic qualifiers, and I would include those because the size of the problem is the customer's budget, okay? They're the same thing. If you can get a customer to admit, a prospect to admit, that they have a big problem that you can solve, you can charge a decent amount of money to solve that problem. Whereas if the problem is small, they may not qualify to have you as the solution to that problem. It's too small, it's too dinky for me to deal around with, right? I'm not going to deal with a $10,000 problem because all I'll be able to charge is like, I don't know, $500 at the very most to solve that problem. If I can get the prospect to even admit that that's the size of the problem. So I qualify them out there on a demographic basis. And finally, we will look at the psychographic. So, you know, elements. So if we're looking at this on a pyramid, that's at the top. Now, the good news about the psychographic or pain points qualifiers is they are automatically using the jargon of that industry, right? So we really are one of us at this point, right? We're seen as one of us by our prospect. How could they have possibly helped somebody like me if they, you know, just said what they just said? Like, it's impossible, right? They have to have helped somebody in my situation or else they wouldn't know that. So that is a fast way of generating that trust to get over the trust hurdle. There is a trust hurdle that you have to get over when you're qualifying and beginning to sell. Otherwise, that prospect will clam up and they will never share with you what's truly going on in their business. Now, they will never share 100% of what's going on, okay? They will always hold something back. But even if you can get 10% of what's going on in their business, that may be enough for you to start to get a picture of how you can help them and for them to start to duplicate that picture of how you can help them. And now you're on your way to a sale, all right? So when my friend asked me, how do you use pain points in that isolated sense, my answer is I don't. And I think you'd be crazy to, because you wouldn't have a lot of the built-in stuff from the industry and demographic pre-qualifiers, right? You wouldn't have the industry jargon and you wouldn't be necessarily talking to the right size of customer or the right location of customer, right? All those demographic issues that are good pre-qualifiers. Now, when you're doing this yourself and you're creating your list, this doesn't have to take very long. You just make a spreadsheet, list your potential candidate prospects down the side, and then list 5 or 6 demographic qualifiers across the top, okay? And you know, the industry is already chosen, okay? Those prospects are in that industry that are in that column. But in the rows now, what you've got are 5 or 6 demographic qualifiers, and you just whip through and put an X in there or something, right? When they are qualified for that demographic element, certain size, certain revenue, certain contract size, tick, 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 right? And when you get out of 5 or 6, let's say, 3 or more tick marks, you got a winner, right? That's somebody who should stay in there on a demographic and industry basis. Now you can take that and then go to that prospect and qualify them further with some marketing collateral about the psychographic stuff, okay? The what's going on in your head. Are you having this pain point problem? Are you in this situation that I can fix? That is the next step of qualifying. So if you want to talk to me about your funnel and how, that's part of a funnel, by the way. If you want to talk to me about your funnel and your pre-qualification process, which is the most important element in teeing up those sales lobs, right? We want them to be easy. Dan Kennedy, a long time ago, I was reading a book he wrote about being a contrarian. It was one of his first no BS books in like 1996 or something like that, back in North Van at the public library. It's a long time ago. I had hair back then, okay? The guy said, I don't want to be showing off at my age, you know, and it was a while ago. He's 60-something or whatever he is now, you know. He said, I want to be shooting fish in a freaking barrel with a shotgun. The barrel is the size of the shotgun is the size of the opening at the top of the barrel. You know, he didn't want to miss, okay? We want to make this teeing up process of pre-qualifying as easy as possible for you, so that when you actually talk to somebody, you know they're pre-qualified on the industry, demographic, and psychographic qualifiers. Okay? Can you imagine, right? How wound up these guys are to talk to you, how excited they are? This is what I do, and they are excited. And so it makes your closing that much easier. I don't really have to close because I've done all that groundwork. They know what they're getting. They know why they're there. They know that they're a fit for me on need, budget, personality fit, right? Industry, demographic, and psychographic qualifiers. And they respond. The pain points are at the top of that pyramid, and they're the thing that you dangle in front of the prospects that you've pre-qualified by industry and demographic factors as a probable fit. Hey, I think you guys might have a problem big enough worthy of me solving. Are you experiencing these issues? Yes. All right? Because those are the pain points, and they've told you that. So this is a really exciting way to get yourself into high probability sales situations. This is Jason Kanigan from Sales on Fire, telling you when and how to use pain points properly. Thanks for watching.